Welcome guys, thank you so much for tuning into this video so I can go over just the overall stream setup, just talking about the flow of everything works together as well as some of the specifics on how to actually operate all the equipment for the streaming station. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get started.
All right, so before we get too deep into kind of showing you guys the specifics on how to run everything and get everything booted up and operate everything, I wanted to just kind of go over our stream flow. And all I mean by this is how everything in our kind of overall tech department is working together to make the final product that you see when you tune into YouTube to watch a live service on Sunday morning. So the base of it all is our computer, our stream computer that runs a software called OBS. It stands for Open Broadcast Software, and all I want you to think of it as is a content mixer. And when I use that word mixer, I'm using it in the way that we would think about, a mixing board for audio stuff. A mixing board takes multiple audio inputs, and you're able to balance them and make them work the way you want them to make the final product, which is like the song you'd be listening to or whatever, or when you're hearing a live mix here in the church or at a concert, right? So OBS does a similar thing where it is able to take multiple inputs. It's able to take a video input from a camera, take an audio input from some sort of audio device or media device, and then it's also able to take some special kinds of inputs to allow us to overlay and kind of superimpose, videos that we have during the service or lyrics, all that kind of stuff. It's able to take all these different sources and combine them into one master, experience or presentation sort of thing. That way you're able to have what we have for the live stream. And so it takes all these elements, video, audio, and presentation. Those are the main elements we use for a Sunday morning, and sends them off to YouTube over the internet. And just a real quick note on how we get YouTube to communicate with OBS. It might seem kind of weird, right? Because you're talking about this is a local software on a computer. How are we getting it to communicate with YouTube? Well, YouTube, when we open Google Chrome on our computer and then we get into YouTube and we start a new live video, there's actually a little display menu underneath the main window of the stream that's giving you a little preview of what your viewers are seeing. And it says, it has a phrase called stream key. And then you're able to copy that and paste it into stream settings on OBS. But all I want you to think about it is as a almost like a radio frequency, right? So it's almost like we're tuning OBS to broadcast onto the proper frequency. That way YouTube can pick it up and it's able to display it to anybody who's tuning in. And so that stream key gets copied from YouTube each week. And then we open up settings inside OBS and go to stream settings, and there's actually a little slot that says stream key, and so we just kind of like highlight the old one, delete it, and then Control V to get OBS and YouTube talking to each other. So that's the overall basics of how that works. So we'll kind of go into each element now. So first things first, obviously if we're going to have a service and be doing an online service, and we need to have video. And so our video solution that we use is called ATEM Mini Pro ISO. That's a big fancy name. All it really is it's kind of like a camera or a video mixer. And so you'll notice down here towards the bottom, you'll see 1, 2, 3, 4 buttons right here. And all this is there's an HDMI input that corresponds to each one of these buttons. And each one of these buttons allows you to change to a different angle. So the reason we got this is that in the future, when we want to upgrade our stream, this is kind of the building blocks for being able to do cooler things with our live stream on Sunday morning for people that can't make it out, and just to have kind of a cooler looking experience for people who are tuning in online. And so we can actually have up to 4 cameras hooked into this one video switcher, and then whoever's running the video switcher is able to kind of choose what angle they want to be seeing it at any given time. And so what happens is our camera gets connected via an HDMI cable into one of these 4 ports. It's important to make sure you pay attention to what port your HDMI cable is plugged into, because for instance, if you plugged it into channel 3 and you've got channel 1 live, you might be going, oh man, why am I not seeing anything on my OBS software? It's just because you didn't plug it into the channel you have live, or simply you just need to click on channel 3, which is the one you're plugged into. So our camera gets plugged in via an HDMI cord cord. And the great thing about this this video switcher board is that instead of having to do something fancy with like an HDMI cable or a capture card, all that kind of stuff that you don't really need to know about, it just does it over a USB cable. And so HDMI into here, and then the video output goes over to USB cable into the back of the computer, and the computer sees it no different than like an aftermarket web camera sort of thing. So great quality, low complication, which is great. Moving on to our next element, we have our audio element. Obviously, we need to be able to hear what's going on, and technically speaking, we could use this as an audio box sort of thing and do some stuff or whatever. But to make things simplified for the future, I've decided just to make OBS not listen to the ATEM, but just to look for it, sort of thing. So it's just getting video; it's not getting any audio. And that just makes things simpler for the future. We can kind of dig into that at a further date in the future. So we have a separate audio input. And so this red box you're seeing on the screen right here, this is called a Focusrite Scarlett 2i2. Once again, a big fancy name, but all it is just, it's kind of like a 2-channel mixer. And all it does is it takes the two cables that we have plugged into a special port going on the going out of the audio board we actually use for the live service. We've got a custom mix and a separate mix going for the live stream. You can go ahead and watch the audio flow video if you want to understand how all that works. But long story short is we get 2 cables out from the board. They then get plugged into right here and right here. We then can adjust how much strength they have by adjusting the gain knobs right here. You want that gain knob to be green, so keep an eye on that throughout the service. Make sure it doesn't get to red. If it gets to red, you got to turn whichever knob is going red just down a little bit, and that's a huge favor and a huge help you can do for your audio guy, whoever you're serving with that week, that they can kind of focus on the in-house stuff a little more and not be having to focus on this as much. So it takes the audio cables from the mixer board, then digitizes it and sends it over a USB cable, which once again is plugged into the back of the computer, and then we kind of make a we tell OBS how to listen to it and where to find it. The final layer of our stream is our presentation. And so this is actually how we get lyrics on screen for our stream. It's how we get videos to pop up in our stream. That way you as the video guy don't have to zoom in on the TV anymore. It'll just show up automatically. So our presentation software is ProPresenter. That's the person running slides over on the left side of the room, kind of opposite from you. And all it does is it sends all this information over a connection type called NDI. I forget exactly what it stands for, but it's network something. Pretty much what it does is I work inside ProPresenter to make sure ProPresenter sends you the right information. So prime example is during worship, we don't need the slide backgrounds showing up inside the stream. We don't want that. What we want is just the text. That way the text gets overlaid over our live video. So I take care of all of that. If you want to understand more of how that works, you can watch the ProPresenter Flow video. And I do encourage you to watch those 2 videos because that'll help you to understand more of the broader ecosystem and network that's going into making the stream. But for right now, I want to keep it kind of simple and not overwhelm you, and just to show you the things that you need to know and you need to take care of. So it sends this over a connection called NDI, and then goes into OBS, and once again, OBS kind of being our content mixer. I add a source inside of there, tell it to look for NDI stuff, and then tell it to look for this computer specifically, which is called GCBC ProPresenter. And then, so then what happens is, as long as ProPresenter is working properly, and I've done my job right to make sure it's sending the right types of information at the right times, then what you'll get is you don't have to take care of anything. Literally, during welcome announcements, it'll do a full screen slide with all the same exact thing you're seeing up on the TV as people are waiting for the service to start. And then as soon as the ProPresenter volunteer clicks on the first slide for the lyrics, it'll all of a sudden pop out and let you see the stage. It'll let you see the video input because that's, once again, stuff I've set up. And then when they click on the first slide of lyrics, boom, and right in the lower third part of the presentation, you'll see the lyrics pop up. And then when they go to ministry ops, you'll see like a little bottom right-hand corner tile. Same thing for message. That way you got like the full screen always displaying right here in the bottom right-hand corner. And then anytime there's video content, we go back to a full screen view. So like I said, the basics, we use OBS. OBS kind of combines all the elements of our service into one final product, and then it's tuned in to the same like web frequency, I guess you could think of it that way, to display onto our YouTube channel. So it takes the video input from our ATEM, the audio input from our Focusrite, which is being fed a custom mix, custom sound from our audio board, and then finally it overlays whatever lyrics or video stuff we might need to then go over our live video feed, and it sends all that off to YouTube. So that's it for this section, just for you to be able to understand the basics of how this is all working. Now we'll kind of get into some of the specifics.
All right, so now that we've got a basic understanding of how everything is flowing together and actually working together in kind of our ecosystem of all the tech stuff back here, I want to go over the specifics on how to get your station up and running and how to operate everything. So first things first, let's go over getting the station actually powered up.
Okay, so as you come over to your station, you'll notice that there's a bunch of cables going on underneath the station. That's the power strip. We need to turn this on in order for everything to work properly. So turn that on. Once you turn that on, the switcher board will automatically light up just like it is right now. Go ahead and press the on button for the computer. And finally, you're going to want to press the on button for the camera located right there. And now, once your computer is up and running, the two things you need are right in the middle of the screen. So you're going to want to open OBS and Google Chrome. And as soon as you launch both those things, Google Chrome, we want to go to the top left, click on the YouTube tab. Once we're in YouTube, we want to make sure that we're properly signed in. So go ahead and click on the little sign-in bubble and make sure that Grace Community Bible Church is signed in. We're going to go live right here by pressing the little video plus icon. Finally, we're going to edit our title to make sure it matches what the service needs for that day. So right there is the title box, and you have your description. We're going to put your sermon again, put your speaker, all that kind of stuff. Once you're done, you're going to hit save. And the last step we need with YouTube is to go ahead and copy the stream key. Not the stream URL, none of that, the stream key. That is super important. And then we're going to go back to OBS. And at this point, we have both things kind of up and running. We just need to link them like we were talking about before. So we need to navigate over to settings, which is in the bottom right-hand corner of the screen. And here is where we're going to link the two systems. So now we're going to go to our stream settings. We're going to highlight this old stream key, hit backspace, and then from there, Control and V at the same time is the shortcut for paste. Boom, our new stream key is in there. We're going to hit apply to apply our settings, click OK. And then from here, we would click start streaming, and that would automatically start streaming over to YouTube. Okay, so some final things here is you can see right now I have number 1 highlighted and we are able to see the camera feed. But let's say I had clicked number 2 by mistake. You'll notice that now it's a black screen, and that's because of what we talked about earlier, where right now HDMI is plugged into port 1. So we need to press port 1 in order to have a live video feed. So if you ever have a black feed, that's the thing to pay attention to. In addition, I want to show you real quick how it is we add different kinds of sources in here. So right now we've got 3 sources coming in like we talked about. I'm going to go ahead and delete the ATEM, which is our video source, and I'm going to show you how to do this. So you're going to hit plus, and then you're going to scroll down to Video Capture Device. Click OK. And then you'll notice right here in the drop-down menu, we have 2 options, Blackmagic Design or a virtual camera. Blackmagic's what we want. Click OK, and boom, it's right back to normal. And this is the same case for any one of the sources here. If you have a problem where you're not getting video, you're not getting audio, you're not getting lyrics, that's, worst comes to worst, that's what you're going to want to do, is just to delete it and then reinstitute it properly. So now it's all renamed, and we're all set back to the way that we were before.
All right, so that's just about everything you need to know on the video side of things. And like I said at the beginning of this video, that is going to be the main job for you, is to mostly be worrying about making sure that the stream is properly set up, making sure the camera is ready to go, all that kind of stuff. But it really is helpful for you to also understand how other stations in our tech department are interacting with yours. So next up, we're just going to quickly go over just you actually seeing where the wires are on the board for where they're going into the Scarlett, and just go over a couple of those things. So we're going to do that next.
All right, so here we have our audio board, and up at the top we have a bunch of custom outputs. 4 and 5 are to camera. So if we look at the back of the audio board, you'll notice that we have port 4 and port 5 have cables popping out of them. Those cables come down onto the ground and all the way over to our streaming station, and then they go into the left and right inputs of our little red box here. Quick little tip with things for you to watch out while you are helping as a stream person. You want to make sure these red lights never pop up. If they pop up, it means that the gain knob is turned up too high. Once again, so see, it's green, that's great. Now it's red, we need to turn it back down. So just every once in a while, as you're helping out with this, just keep an eye on those lights and make sure that those aren't clipping or anything like that, aren't getting any red lights. Finally, we got PerPresenter. These are sending all of our lyrics. You'll notice when I click on the first welcome slides, if you look off to the right-hand side, that's a little preview of what our stream is seeing. So you'll notice that with the welcome slides, they are full screen slides. So, but as soon as I click on the first slide for lyrics, boom, it goes black, and then we've got the lower third. That black just allows the video to pop through because this is doing a base layer. The PerPresenter computer isn't seeing anything from the video feed. So it's sending all of this information for welcome, and then once it goes to the first song, it stops sending all that information and just sends the lower third lyrics. That way, your streaming computer can take that information and overlay it over the top of the video image.
Well, thank you guys once again for tuning in. That about wraps it up as far as for our entire stream setup and everything. If you have any other questions about how things work together specifically, myself or even Nate Rimkus can answer your questions about that. And make sure to stay tuned, because if you're curious about how the rest of our systems work together as well, I'll be posting some more videos too about audio flow and all these different things. So thank you guys so much.